Okay, guys, I am so sorry. Let's do. Let's do top 10 terrified places in Nashville you should never visit. Okay. I've never been to Tennessee, so if you're from Tennessee, explain to me what you guys had down Tennessee. I've never been there, so all I know they have Elvis Graceland. So grab some holy water and let's get going. Starting us off at number 10 is Printer's Alley. Back in the 18th century, Printer's Alley got its name for the many publishing companies and printing shops that operated within it. But while it was a straight and narrow place of business by day, at night it transformed into the men's quarters and served a very different crowd, offering men a night away from their wives. It was during this time that the Southern Turf Building was managed by a man named Ice Johnson. But in 1914, when Prohibition hit, his once booming business of drinking, gambling, and lodging came to a crashing halt and was forced to close. This sent Johnson into a depressive spiral. And as legend has it, declaring that he would rather die than leave his home, Johnson took his own life in this very alley. Soon after, people began reporting seeing his apparition in the third floor window. And to this day, he remains a popular figure in the alley. Now the Tennessee Publishing Company, the ghost of Ice Johnson seeks out to terrify the employees, sometimes with small pranks like moving things from their desks or moving furniture for their eyes. But if you anger him, he may appear in a full-bodied apparition that will send you running for miles. Coming in at number 9 is Tennessee State Prison. Now, it probably doesn't come as a huge surprise that a prison is riddled with terrifying entities. However, the Tennessee State Prison is in a league of its own. The major reason being is that this correctional facility housed the electric chair for the state. And between 1916 to 1960, 125 prisoners met their fate by electrocution. However, it wasn't just those sentenced to death that are believed to haunt these halls. While the prison was still in operation, it was notorious for overcrowding, riots, and escapees. And it seems that many souls that died here are unable to escape its grasp. People that visit often report hearing strange sounds like the clanging of something along the bars, or hear footsteps approaching behind them, only to turn around and see that nothing is there. However, nothing is as bone-chilling as the screams from the electrocuted inmates that are said to echo throughout the abandoned building, loud enough to make your ears ring. Coming in at number 8 is the Overland Resort. Built in 1977, the Overland Resort is considered one of Tennessee's most luxurious hotels. However, don't be fooled by the age of the building. It is said to be haunted by a myriad of horrifying entities, the most famous of which is the Lady in Black. One employee in particular had a haunting encounter several years back. He was managing a store that remained open until midnight, which was much later than most establishments. He usually left around 2 a.m. after stocking and getting things ready. Wow, that looks nice in the inside building. He saw what appeared to be a blurry woman standing at the top of a staircase dressed in customary Civil War attire. The man knew right away it was the apparition of a spirit and wanted to remain calm so as not to anger her. But when he went to go speak, she suddenly disappeared right before his very eyes. But that's not the worst of it. Another woman who stayed at the hotel when she was 9 recalls waking up precisely at 3 in the morning every night she was there. And each time she would open her eyes, the Lady in Black would be standing over her bed watching
watching her sleep. And she wasn't alone. Many other residents claim to have been woken in the night by a woman whispering in their ear or by hearing the blood-curdling screams of a woman in the night. So, if I were you, I might look for a different place to stay. Next up at our number 7 spot is the Two Rivers Mansion. Built back in 1859, this mansion was once a part of a huge 1,000-acre plantation. And just like every plantation of the time, it has an extremely dark past. As the legend goes, during the mansion's construction, the remains of nearly 100 indigenous people were found along the property. However, despite realizing they had accidentally begun construction on a burial site rather than burying the remains elsewhere, they decided to toss them in with the rest of the
show my respect to them.
As you can imagine, this angered the spirits to great lengths, and ever since that day, they have haunted all who reside on the property. Staff and visitors alike claim to have witnessed sudden flickering of lights, strange orbs of light, doors mysteriously locking and unlocking on their own, or the sound of loud footsteps when no one else is around them. However, the entity that should really be feared is the Lady in Black, who can be seen gliding around the mansion or running through the acres surrounding the house, terrifying all that come face to face with her. Next up at number 6 is the Pegram County Cemetery. Back in 1970, a group of developers began bulldozing the area along the Harpeth River to build some new housing. However, it wasn't until it was too late that they realized the land they had dug up included the Pegram family cemetery. Now completely destroyed, they decided there'd be no harm in selling the dirt from the area, and eventually, over time, it ended up being spread across several of the nearby counties. However, to their shock, once the houses were finished being built a few years later, Harpeth River completely flooded and ruined every last one that resided on the previous cemetery grounds. And it wasn't just a one-time thing. Apparently, ever since, the area floods with alarming regularity, leading many to believe that the developers unwittingly released a curse on the land. But it's not just water that is causing an issue here. Apparently, there have been reported fires that reignite almost immediately after being extinguished, and residents of the area regularly report seeing tombstone apparitions materialize in their backyards. In fact, locals and tourists alike agree that there is often a bad energy in the air, which is often attributed to the angry spirits seeking revenge for their remains being disturbed many years ago. Next up at number 5, the Bell Witch Cave. One of the most well-known haunted locations in all of Tennessee. The tales of it being haunted by an evil entity go as far back as the early 1800s and have been very well documented throughout the years. As the story goes, sometime in the late 16th century, there was a huge feud between two neighbors, John Bell and Kate Batts. Now, Kate believed that John had cheated her somehow on a land deal, and so to seek revenge would routinely torture his daughter. This, of course, made John act out, and the two spent most of their lives trying to get back at one another. In fact, she was so hell-bent on revenge that the feud even lasted until her very dying breath. On her deathbed, Kate, who was believed by all in the town to be a witch, allegedly cursed the entire Bell family and promised she would haunt them for the rest of eternity. Ever since that day, a terrifying entity is said to haunt the cave. Even Andrew Jackson, former president who spent a night there once, famously said, quote, "I would rather face the entire British Army than to spend another night with the Bell Witch." Those that visit the property today say they hear chains rattling or strange knocking sounds, but every single visitor leaves wishing they had never stepped. With FanDuel Casino's Play It Again offer, you can play all of your favorite casino games. And if you're down, but inside. Coming in at number 4, the Congress Inn. While today the Congress Inn serves as an affordable option for an overnight stay in the city, during the Civil War, it was used as a makeshift hospital. However, it's said that as the bodies needing a burial kept growing in numbers, doctors began running out of places to put them, and eventually were left with no other option than to cement the corpses into the walls. However, as it turns out, it is very hard for spirits to leave a property when their corpses are cemented into the walls, and these soldiers are rumored to be very angry about the way their corpses were dealt with. And so they take it out on the people who stay in the hotel. Visitors who've dared to stay a night claim to hear peculiar whispering from the walls, lights flickering, or loud footsteps in the hall, even when they appear empty, as well as gunshots and the sounds of cannons in the night. All of which is terrifying, but whatever you do, stay away from room 102, as that is where the most terrifying apparition is said to reside. One man recounted his stay there, saying he woke in the middle of the night to find he was being pinned down by a horrifying spirit and was unable to move for what felt like an entire minute. However, as soon as he went to scream for help, the force suddenly lifted and disappeared back into the walls. Needless to say, the man packed his bags and looked for a new place to sleep for the night. And I would suggest the same for you. Next up at number 3 is the Fairview Plantation. Once the home of cruel and wealthy slave trader Isaac Franklin, it has long been believed that not only is this house haunted by the souls that were here many years ago, but that anyone who resides in its walls will fall under a dark curse too. As legend has it, it all started when Franklin and his wife moved into the Fairview home, and after adding 4 new members to their family, each and everyone died before they became adults. And it's believed that each of their spirits haunts the grounds to this day. However, the curse didn't end there. Once Franklin passed and his wife remarried, the mansion was vacant for several years, until the Civil War Union soldiers sought it out to be used as a makeshift hospital. However, many are said to have perished within its walls, one of which was said to have written his will in a library book with his own blood, which just sounds like a recipe for a haunting if you ask me. From there, the property was sold several times, but no one stayed much longer than a few months, as they were inundated with supernatural entities and bad luck. One resident, Charles Reed, a horse breeder, lost 28 of his prize-winning horses when a lightning storm set fire to the barn, while others were haunted by Union soldiers crying in agony or covered in blood from brutal battles, or by the young spirits of the Franklin family crying out in the night. So, even if ghosts don't scare you much, unless you're looking to fall under a century-old curse, I'd steer clear. Coming in at number 2, the Union Station Hotel. One day, a woman was having a smoke out on the hotel's old platform and witnessed a strange woman wandering around in vintage clothing. But right before her eyes, she hopped over the rail and dropped into the tracks. The woman began to scream and cry out, believing she'd just witnessed someone jump to her death. But then, all of a sudden, the woman was gone. Next, she saw a man dressed as a soldier wandering the platform waiting for someone. But just as the girl had, he disappeared in a flash. Believed to be the ghosts from World War II, as the legend goes, a young woman named Abigail said goodbye to her beloved at this very station before he left for France. Abigail was deeply sad to see him go, but promised that she would wait for him and meet at this very spot once the war ended. Then, after the war, as promised, she went to the station and waited only to find out he had been killed in service. So, heartbroken, Abigail threw herself in front of a moving train to end her misery. It's believed that both ghosts are stuck in a loop and that she takes her life only for him to arrive moments later. But sadly, they always miss each other. However, they aren't the only entities to haunt the hotel's walls. Guests that stay in room 711 often complain of lights flickering or stomping coming from the roof, despite that they are the top floor of the building. Some even say it sounds like heavy furniture is being dragged in the early hours of the morning, but the most frightening thing is when people are woken in the night by the blood-curdling scream of the woman who took her own life. And last up today in our number 1 spot, the Ryman Auditorium. This auditorium has long been the place of many incredible concerts and shows. However, despite its long-standing list of famous performers, it's also believed to be the most cursed building in all of Nashville. The auditorium opened its doors to the public way back in 1892, but it wasn't until around 1943 when rumors of its haunting began to surface. The reason behind the alleged curse of the building, well, between 1943 to 1974,
So this is
the
Oprah.
auditorium became famous for
That's
hosting
cool.
Opry, a radio station turned stage show for up-and-coming country singers. But
That's
tragically,
what I
37
always see on the
performers died
TV all the
shortly
time when I
after
was a
their
kid.
performance at the auditorium, some facing their fate in car accidents or fires,
Yes, I
while
did
others
watch
were
that.
believed to be killed. Eventually, the old Opry found a new home, but still the curse remained. And alleged other 14 acts.
I'm not. I'm gonna face it. I don't care what she says about it.
Stage. But it's not just the curse that should make you nervous to visit this building. It's also said to be haunted by Captain Thomas Ryman, who the building is named after. You see, contrary to his wishes, the space began taking on different kinds of acts, like plays and comedy shows, which has apparently angered the entity over the years, who had always wanted it to be a purely music-based venue. According to some patrons, Ryman's loud footsteps can be heard stomping across the stage when there's a performance he is particularly unfond of. And some have been so freaked out by his apparition that they left the theater entirely, never to return. Well, there you have it, guys. I hope you liked this video.
Hi guys. I will see you guys in my last video, so I see you then.